Talk about a fairly provocative idea about letting your pants down in public. Please welcome Terry Olson.
Thanks. So have you had this nightmare? People are staring at you. You can't move. You can't even blink. There's sweat dripping off your nose. They're crowding around. They're laughing. And then two women who have been lubricating their inhibition shutters get too close and pull your pants down. This was not a nightmare of mine. It was a reality of mine. It was a reality that I intentionally let happen. I was intentionally frozen as a statue. I was intentionally gathering a crowd, and I let those women cross the interactively line too close so that I no longer had control, have time to have control. I did this because I was performing with SAC Theater at a Renaissance festival. SAC is a company that I helped found. In fact, in the heyday of Renaissance festivals, in fact, we were the entertainment development directors at the Bay Area Renaissance Festival of Largo, across the bay here, in the early years. And we founded this, first of all, I wanted to say that being in Pinellas County in March, April was a much better idea for us than staying in Minnesota where we were from during those. Even at that time, before I'd permanently moved to Florida, I was beginning to tell people that one of my goals in life was to never shiver again. And this last few days have been thwarting my goal, by the way. SAC's mission, although is formulated in later years, is to create an audience, people who want joy by playing together. To create an audience, people who want joy by playing together. SAC was a company that sprang out of our worldview and out of a what if. What if we told a story and put a costume piece or a hat or something on an audience member and made them an integral part of the story? And we, at that time, were not cocooned in a hairball. Have you read Orbiting the Giant Hairball? I highly recommend it. So we were, at the point in our lives, young and able to put ourselves out there, to do something, to take a risk that might fail. It sprang out of our worldview because we believed that the Creator loved us and was willing to take us just like we are, in theological terms, a sinner, and make something of our lives, even no matter how much we had screwed up. And so we formed a theater company that took audience members, loved them, brought them on stage, and tried to make them the star of our show. Now, we still had ultimate control. We were able to make things go well, even if some person made a lot of inappropriate choices, usually because they're trying too hard and not being natural. So in that sense, we were something like all-knowing and all-powerful in that situation. But to get there, I remember Bernal Hansen and I, in our first years of this company, going out to do a show at a Renaissance festival. We didn't have a stage. We didn't have a set show time. We would just find a place in a lane where we would gather a crowd and then launch into a story, take the people from the audience, and pass the hat to make money. So we would be there like, okay, here come some people. Should we start? Okay, you start. No, you start. Oh, they went to a shop. Okay. Here come some more people. Okay. They don't look very friendly. Well, eventually, we would start. But that inertia of beginning to attract a crowd was great. It was an inertia. We had to take a risk and step out and do that. So we would start by standing up and in a loud voice, oh, what's the matter? Oh, I think a bird just pooped on my head. Oh, don't worry, I'll get some toilet paper. No, don't bother. By the time you get back, that bird will be long gone. I'll wait for some of you. Okay. And so then people would be curious to see what was going on. Gather around, we'd ask them to come up to a line, we'd draw in a circle around us, we'd tell our story. Well, this started a new genre of audience interactive theater that was successful. It took off, our company took off. We were asked to do Renaissance festivals all across the country, Fringe festivals all across Canada, world expositions in New Orleans, Vancouver, Brisbane, Australia. Those latter two where we had troops in residence for the full multi-months run of those fairs. And I've told you all this so you can have a context for what I discovered is a real passion in my life and something I think is really important for our future. Something that I think was what motivated Arlen to ask me to be here, about building community. Now, I do this through creating organizations, over a dozen over the years, bringing together our fractionalized society. We were the opposite of high tech, high touch. And as we've become more global and we've got more levels of communication open to us, what I see is we're becoming more compartmentalized. The conservatives are more conservative. The liberals are more liberal. The rebels are getting together with rebels just like them all over the world. But are you really a rebel if you're all wearing the same clothes and listening to the same music? I don't know. But we have access to our own lifestyle niche, and we can live in that all our life with music, philosophy, interactions of people just like us. And so what I see is the xenophobia of closed societies, which we used to think of as like nations, like North Korea in a geographic place, being replaced by the nichophobia of people not trusting people outside of their little lifestyle niche, people that look or think or listen to or operate in a different way. And that civil social discourse breakdown, I think eventually, inevitably leads to a breakdown of this social structure that holds us together in the first place. So I found that leaving my comfort zone and reaching out unjudgmentally into other lifestyle niches is not only thrilling, but it's necessary in order to preserve many of the comforts that our functioning, if not necessarily harmoniously functioning, society affords us. But we do have to leave our comfort zones. It's not just to think about leaving it or agree that it would be good to leave it, but actually leave it. Yesterday morning when I was in a hot bath, keeping warm because it was too cold, I knew I needed to get up and go to work. I agreed that I should get up and go to work. I believed that it would be beneficial to me and others if I got up and go to work. But it took an effort to make that move. I had to thrust myself into the vulnerable position, literally naked and shivering, before I could dry off, put my clothes on, and get on my way to work. So, if you want a unified community of different types, you've got to risk the vulnerability of leaving the comfort zone. When I talk about a unified community, I'm thinking of the beauty reflected in a painting. Before the painting, you have many little niches of color. They're all separate and they're all pure and they're all happy to be next to molecules just like them. The painter puts them on a canvas and creates something of beauty. They still have all their colors, but they might be blended some at the edges to work together. They're not blended too much so that they're an ugly brown mass of unity. They are distinct yet blended. So, I want to encourage you to make your world look more like a painting. Does your world look like the society around you? Does it look kind of like this room, mostly white on white? To do this, you're going to have to leave your comfort zone. You'll have to intentionally invite people unlike you to have lunch with you or to have them over to your house. Is it natural? No. Inertia is natural. Taking risks, being vulnerable, building a better community takes work, and it is worth it. I had my pants, or actually was really tight at that time, pulled down in public. But the risks involved were worth it. Sachs' new genre was copied across the country, even at places like Walt Disney's EPCOT Center. And we were successful at creating an audience, people who want joy. May joy be a part of each and every day of your life.